welcome back. I'm Shiko,
I'm Nyam.
And I'm Gavani.
and this is
Okay,
Okay
Kiasi.
Kiasi.
Kiasi. Imeni bamba bamba. Who's doing the run? Who's doing the run?
Oh, whoa,
Immediately, no.
whoa, whoa.
Immediately,
Thank you.
no.
And then you can't
Immediately.
delegate and then cancel someone even before they finish their run. Surely,
I
be
know.
supportive.
I support
Anyway,
you.
I'll practice and I'll be back better than
Thank you.
ever
I
I
believe
support
next
you
in
in the
you.
week.
same way Snoop Dogg supported his daughter. You know, when his daughter started her singing career, she was like, he told her she was shit, so she got singing. She got a vocal coach, and now she sings well. I'm that
Wow.
guy. I'm Snoop. Thank you.
Oh, so what are you saying?
So you're
Now she
telling me I
sing.
sing badly? Would you
No,
want
I'm
to have a sing
saying,
off?
girl, we can do it. Head to head, head to head, head to
Hey,
head.
dead.
That's so silly.
Anyway, Nyambura, how is your week?
My week was
Or was it?
incredible. It was a really
Wow.
busy week, but fulfilling. I think, yeah, I had like two training sessions, like heavy, intense sessions. One for the Perform Incubator, and another one for Hustle Sasa Passion to Profit. So yeah, I've been meeting a lot of new people in the creative space, so that's been fun. And then on Friday, we went to see the 48-hour film project movies. These are the movies that are done in 48 hours. There were some really interesting movies. Like you can tell, like it's a short film, but nonetheless, like one of those that leave you like with more questions than answers. But there were some really funny shows in there. And then had a birthday celebration on Saturday. I feel like it was a hectic but good week, basically. Fun, people, good for work, challenging in that way as well. A bit exhausting as well, but great.
Wow. Tony the Tiger, is that you? Chico, how was your week?
My week was also great.
Tony!
No, I had a good week. Yesterday, me and Christian went for an Oktoberfest party. At a friend's house. They have an annual Oktoberfest thing where they make a bunch of German treats. There was a bunch of sausages and pretzels. We made pretzels together, which was fun. And lots of beer, of course. They have giant Jenga, which is always a good time, and their set has like questions on each one. So that's always a fun activity to do with friends. Other than that, I think that was the one social thing that I did this week. um, we were in the gym. It was good. I made it how many times this week? Three.
Woo!
So
Good
that's
job,
not
girl.
bad. That's not bad.
All
Three
you do
times
is
is not a bad.
win, win no matter what.
Exactly. Um, and other than that, nothing much going on in this neck of the woods. Katani, what's going on in your world?
I can breathe again, guys. All of my madness is over. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. I'm so excited. I was at a lot of the things Nyam mentioned. So 48 hour film project. A friend had a birthday. We hung out with mom, which was a lot of fun. Let me tell you also, the best thing about, is there Udaku that's better than the one you, let me tell you, Udaku is so good. Anyway, after that,
We
me,
also
I'm
sang
telling you,
Kikuyu songs.
yeah, we sang Kikuyu songs. Nyam and mom decided to bring out the hymn books. She was so happy. She was like, Nyam, you can really pronounce those words in Kikuyu. I'm so proud of you. It was so much fun. Like we just were
You,
singing
Katani, do
the,
you know how to sing in Kikuyu?
of course, I was harmonizing. First, let me tell you something. I didn't even need the hymn book. Okay. I got them in my brain. When it was my turn
Even
to
me.
sing, I said, sure, I believe you. So much of belief I have in you, Shiko. You're
You're
right.
lying.
I believe in you. You guys said I'm not supportive. This is me being supportive. You're right, Chico. You can sing in Kikuyu without the hymn book. You're right. If anyone tells you you're wrong, they're lying. Okay. And then I got a pedicure. I hate getting pedicures. It's my third one in my lifetime. Clap for me, please. I'm waiting for the clap. Thank you. So I got a pedicure this weekend because I was like, treat yourself. Because I mean, I'm a boss babe. I had a work thing also that was fun. Yeah, so that has been my weekend. What else? Oh, there are people I found out. Am I allowed to rant? Can I rant? I've been waiting to
Go for
rant.
it.
Go off, sis.
So there's some people who have been mentioning us in their lips, on their tongues. They're saying our names, talking about, oh, have you listened to the podcast? Have you heard what they're saying? Listen, listen. Hello? Hi, aunties and uncles. I'm talking to you now. This is for you. Hi, I know you listen to the podcast. Get our names out of your mouth. The next time you mention any of our names, you're going to bite your tongue. Do you hear me? Bite
Wow.
your tongue. You'll be walking around with your mouths open with saws, because you can't stop talking about us. I'm telling you now. Get my name and my sister's names out of your mouth because you're busy
I want
talking,
this
but you don't
tea.
know if I ate. I'm like, you guys don't know what I ate yesterday. You haven't talked to me in 5 years, but you want to be here saying, do you know these girls? What do you know? On what authority do you speak? Which one? Please get our names out of your mouth. I'm saying with confidence. If you're not sure I'm talking about you, Ebu just SMS me, you see, I'll tell you it's you. I'm done with you people. I'm tired. People with no authority on your life talking about it. Get out of my
Wow.
face. Anyway, I'm done.
Hey.
That's how many
Okay.
was.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
We'll circle back.
Yeah.
Now, onto the
But
wheel.
I'm done. I was just like, that thing when you're like, here's the thing. We have thought people are listening and stuff like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But then when you can, like when you start, when stories come back to you, it's just like, you are talking as who? And then it's that you cloak yourself in Christ. Let me tell you, in the name of Jesus, you'll bite your tongue every time you mention us. You hear us?
Gadhani,
Every
sawa,
time. Say
sawa.
my name, say my sister's name. You'll bite your tongue.
Is
You'll
no
be walking
one
like
is
this with your mouth
around you.
open.
Say, baby, I love you if you
Yeah.
ain't running
Don't
games.
Now,
say my name.
Anyway, while he spins it, I'm going to sing in Kikuyu.
No.
Amokera
hey,
shoka
hey.
shakwa kumoni wakwa
Let's
negwaneski
go.
wemwega Jesu
Jesu.
waparari
Reuma de Naroshio.
Leomogenaroshio
Oh, Hinya. Anyway, before Nyam says what we landed on,
No. Before
Wakaraka
anything,
spin me.
Begani, what were you saying,
Spin,
Hagar?
spin, spin,
Huh?
spin me.
Please, Ebu,
That's not a
what were
hymn.
you saying about me not talking about Kikuyu?
Girl. Did you hear yourself say? Yeah, that's
Did
the
I
part.
sing it though? Did
Me,
I
I
sing
said,
it?
girl, did I say that if anyone tells you you can't sing a hymn, they're wrong?
Even if it's in English,
Why
I
are you
don't know the
coming at me?
lyrics. So
Why are you
why
coming
are
at
you
me?
saying
Why,
that because I don't know the lyrics in Kikuyu, I don't know how to sing in
girl?
Kikuyu?
I said if anyone tells you you can't do it, they're lying. Me, I told you you
Then
can do
where
it.
did we land?
Okay. Thank you. I was like, let's see how this plays out. Um, we landed
When
on
I'm supportive,
screenplay.
it doesn't work. When I'm unsupportive, it doesn't work. Oh, screenplay.
Love is Blind this season is boring. I can't get into it. There was supposed to be this drama on in episode 4. Yeah, quite honestly, I'm not I'm not feeling it. I'm not vibing with it. It's just not giving anything. It's not giving excitement. It's just giving boredom and fishing for a storyline and unnecessary drama and relationships that we already know from the get-go are not going to work. When you watch it from the beginning and you're like, from the get-go it already seems like this relationship is not going to work, it doesn't make me want to watch the journey. Like, I need to feel like there could be a chance that she could make it, or like there's going to be like real life tea or drama for me to be engaged, and it's just not giving. I started watching Housewives of Beverly Hills. No, not Beverly Hills. New York, the new cast and everything. I'm kind of into it. It's very different than other seasons. Like, they're more like younger, millennial, whatever. It feels fresh. It's really cool. Salt Lake City is boring me a little bit this year. What else is going on in the world of
Wait,
TV?
have you seen that they're being sued? Love is Blind. Have you seen they're being sued?
Who is being sued?
Love is Blind.
For
The
what, do you mean?
production, sexual assault, something, something, and something else. Someone has brought up a suit to the production.
Well,
I just saw it today.
I would not be surprised because with reality TV, this goes back to what I was saying the other thing with Bethany Frankel. Like, there's no guidelines on this shit. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
not like Hollywood where, like, SAG-AFTRA, CG, whatever, they have like regulations in place or whatever it is. And even with those regulations of those acting, whatever, a lot of shit still goes on. Like with reality TV, it's completely untapped, and like I would not be surprised if there's drama with like sexual assault or whatever, all these things. Speaking of, with Bravo, now they're starting to limit the amount of alcohol that their stars can
drink.
Oh,
consume.
that's okay. That's good.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
what
there's
happened?
see, I'm telling you, this whole
It's
Bethany, whatever,
liability.
it really
Mm,
is.
that makes
It
sense.
really is. People speaking up against it and being like, yo, the way this was handled is not right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been watching recently.
Nyambura,
Nice.
what are you watching?
I actually just this afternoon started watching season 3 of Lupin or Lupin.
Say look.
It's this show on Netflix about a French
Detective.
burglar. No, he's a robber. He's a Robin Hood. Yeah, so I maybe like 2 episodes in. Today is when the finals of the WNBA starts. So I don't think
Who's in
I'll
the final?
stay up. New York Liberty and Vegas Aces. I'm rooting for the Aces. That's my team.
Nice.
But yeah, so I don't think I'll stay up for that, but I'll probably be watching a lot of highlights in the coming week. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm watching. And TikTok.
Fair.
Yeah.
Kathani?
So good. Myself, because I've just come back to the world, I'm catching up on all of my podcasts and stuff. So Gin and Juice, The Bold and the Beautiful. I'm back in my Kevin stage
Old
bubble.
and beautiful.
Not Bold
Not
and Beautiful
bold,
for Richard and any.
bold.
Bald. Bald
Oh,
and
bald
beautiful.
and
Yeah. So a lot of they
and
have a lot of
ikipara.
Yani kipara and
kipara
beautiful.
and curies. And
Okay.
curies. So I'm back watching a lot of that and like Black Love, those things. You know me, I just like things of that snilly. So I'm doing a lot of catching up with my
Mm.
shows that I hadn't been able to watch because what was my life? A movie. I didn't need to watch one. And so now I am watching movies. Yeah.
Mm.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hiya then. You all ready to get into our episode?
Let's
Do
go.
it.
Let's go.
Welcome, ladies. Today we are talking fear.
And the gents?
Oh,
She's
and
welcoming
I meant
us,
the
not
two of
everyone
you.
else.
I meant the two of
Oh.
you. Okay, but greetings to all our listeners near and far. What's up, Mr. or Miss Kuwait? We see you. We love you. Thank you for being with us on this episode.
It's going to be one person with a
Over to
VPN being
you.
like, that's my person. That's
I know.
me.
Shout out.
Anyway.
So this episode we're talking about fear. I know we covered a bit of fear of failure and talking about being afraid of success as well when we were talking about the episode is blocking my blessings when we talk about the big leap. So some of this conversation will be somewhat related, but maybe to start us off, I'm going to read some statements and then I just want you to react to them in terms of if I came to you and I told you this with excitement, what would your response be? I mean, it can be me, but just think of if it's someone you love. Hiya. I'm taking out a gigantic.
You should have just given us. You should have just given us some boundaries because we're about to go
Yeah, I'm
in.
just
But
like,
pop off.
do I like this
I guess we'll
person?
see how this might change the direction of this episode. However, I am I have decided that I will still do it. So if I come to you and I say, Oh my gosh, I'm taking out a massive loan to build my dream business.
If it's you, hopefully I know what the business is. But
Yeah, I'm like, I need more.
I would ask, if I don't believe in it, I'll tell you straight up.
Okay.
Don't do it.
So knowing what the business is makes the determination. By the way, first, I wish we can show the clip of after I read the statement because both your faces did that thing. So crazy.
Yeah, I feel like for businesses, like if it's someone that's not necessarily like close to me, like if it's my sisters, I'm for sure telling you like, okay, first of all, why are you taking a loan out? Is it necessary? Have you considered this? If it's someone else who is just like a friend, I'd be like, oh, I'd still try and like see if that's the necessary step, like if you're a close person to me, um but without being too much in your business, being
Okay.
like, have you considered other aspects other than a loan or whatever it is.
Okay.
And if it's an acquaintance, live your life. I don't give a fuck enough to care about what you're doing with your money. Sorry. I'm like, oh, business, you're starting a coloring book and you're taking out $1 million loan. Love that for you. Go ahead, live
Right.
your best
Go
life.
off.
Go off. I see. Gadani, that's the similar response, maybe?
No, if it's an acquaintance, don't tell me about your business. I don't care. Um, if it's a friend, hmm, I don't know that I give opinions to friends. I feel like my assumption in this case is that you're coming to tell me this because like you're important to me, and I feel like
Yeah.
by the time you're telling me this, if it's one of you, I already know how we came to this conclusion of the big loan.
Mm,
So it won't be like you came to me and you were like, I'm taking out a big loan. And I'll be like, bitch, where did this come from? And I'll be like, okay, we planned this.
mm,
I guess it also depends on who the person is. Like,
Yeah.
how are we paying it back? Do you have a plan on
mm-hmm,
that? Is the full
mm,
loan everything you need for your business? Do you have some of the money? Like, what's the,
mm-hmm.
like, how long before failure and you're okay with failure so that you're not taking out a second loan and then you and your family are out in the streets or living in the car in my parking lot. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I
Gotcha.
guess it depends on the person. If I'm not worried
Yeah.
about you going off like that, like if mom told me she was taking a loan, a big loan, I'd be like, sure, go off, sis. You know, because there's some
Mm,
people who I'm just like, yeah, by the time you're doing this, you've thought about it. There's some people who are
mm,
like, I'm taking a big loan, and I'm like, I hope
okay.
your wife has some money on the side.
So from what I'm hearing from you, like having a plan and also depending on who it is, those are some
Yes.
factors
Yes.
for you. Okay. So
Exactly.
here's my next statement. For this one, let's just think about it as someone you love. Let's do away with the
Acquaintances.
acquaintances.
Because we have determined we
So
can't care.
I have decided I am quitting my job and I'm going to travel around the world for a year by myself. Yeah.
Go off, sis.
What city can I meet you in?
Yeah. Like, how is this a question? I'm like,
Like, live your life,
go
spend all
off.
the money,
I'm
Okay.
like,
every
by the time you're
last
traveling, you
dollar.
have the money. Go, travel, see everything.
Yeah.
Just make sure you update
Okay.
it on Instagram and make sure you have access to internet all the time. Otherwise,
Make
are
sure
you
you're
dead?
safe, but
Yeah,
go.
go.
Okay. Got you. Hiya, this is the last one. I met the most incredible person last week. I'm totally in love. We're getting married next week.
You do that, but just give me their full name first. Um, and then give me 24 hours and I'll let you know if you can marry him.
Okay. Some research is required.
That's it.
Uh-huh. Gadani?
Because me, this is how I want to get a man. I'm like, go off, sis. I'm like, if you want to get married, get married. Because
Kadami is
also,
like, less work.
yeah,
I
I'm
love
like, I
it.
don't have to. Also, a week means I have less people to invite. Oh my God. Guys, is this not a dream? Dream. I'm so excited. Please, may the
Nice.
Lord hear this and bring it to me. I'm like, also, I think it's because
I
our
love
age.
love.
Also, yeah, and I'm just like, at this age, it's not that hard to know what you want. So if someone my age, I feel like after 30, there's just a certain, like if you've lived alone for a certain time, you know your version of what you yes, no, maybe. Like there are guys who have said no to from one conversation where I'm just like, this will become a problem in 5 years, and I'm not willing to deal with it in 5 years, you know. So I'm
Okay.
just like, if you know that, go off,
All
man.
right. These are all valid. So actually, some of these I picked from the book "You Are a Badass" by Jen Sincero, because she has a chapter on fear, and she basically talks about like when people are gonna make some big decisions, the first reaction that everyone will give them is, have you thought about it? Or, whenever there's a big leap involved, there's always the question of, okay, but, basically the same things you guys said, who is he? I need to do research. Or what's the plan for your business? How will you pay back? The only one you didn't align is on the travel one. You are all like, go off, sis, go by yourself for a year.
Yeah, like go
I think that's also just based
travel
on
though.
how we grew up
Yeah.
also, or
Yeah,
who like we've all had our travel experiences
yeah,
and
true.
benefited from them.
Yeah,
Even solo, I know Nyam had like a solo trip that was
yeah,
very monumental in her life.
in
I
my
had
life.
a solo trip that really like guided me.
I've never
Talonya,
had a solo trip.
you
It's coming
haven't.
soon.
It was a birthday gift.
So, based on that, it made me do some research about fear and like where fear comes from. And the thing that is usually said is fear is always there, but the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown, which is basically like in those scenarios, like, will my business succeed? Will the relationship work? Will I be safe in all the cities I go to? But research was saying that fear is actually based on human evolution. Apparently, it was a matter of survival, or they hypothesize anyway that for some time the human being wasn't the super predator. Yeah, so fear was relevant for you to survive in life. And so,
Dinosaurs.
I
yeah,
was just about to
it
say
was.
a genetic denouncer.
You have to give people background for Gignatic.
Gegenatic
Woo!
denouncer is a friend of mine who had school out in the countryside. Wow. And she was told about Gegenatic denouncers, which is a gigantic dinosaur. And this is a thing you couldn't correct the teacher. So we were afraid of Gegenatic denouncers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine. So yeah, so basically in life, as human beings evolved, if you think of evolution as a thing also, it was just that fear is the lingering thing that needs to keep you aware or on edge, so that you can determine if you will fight or flight in the situation, which I found interesting, but it made me wonder, do you think fear is hardwired into our brains, or like as we're born, or is it something that we learn?
I definitely think it's something we learn.
Okay.
We don't because kids are wild. They'll like grab fire. I think is it me who grabbed fire
On
at
your
my
first
Yep.
birthday?
birthday, yes.
Yep.
Said, blow
You
it
said
out now.
candle,
I'm
no
about to start the
blowing.
dish.
Let me grab it.
Snatch it. You said snatch.
Exactly. But guess what? As okay, I was gonna say that was the last time I put off a candle like that, but actually, I think it started a bad habit because I just love like putting mata on my
Pinching.
fingers, like and then pinching the wick. But I know it's going to hurt me now, you know.
Yeah.
So then I learned if I touch this, I'm not going to whatever, which instills a fear. I'm curious to learn though. I wonder if certain people based on like their DNA or whatever it is are more prone to fear like because that reaction could have affected me differently, you know, where now I'm afraid of
Mm,
fire, you know what it, or
true.
candles or whatever it is,
I feel
like
like it
some
depends.
kids like that's the trigger. What's the
I was
what
saying
does
I
it
think it
depend on?
depends on the people around you. I think the in the same way it's land, I think the reaction of the people around you when you grabbed the candle would have put a core trauma or something in you that would give you a different reaction. So it's
Yeah.
like phobia, like there are people who I know
Yeah.
who are scared like by
You're
grasshoppers
right.
when they were babies, but it's the reaction of it's that thing for the loud noise of everyone laughing after they reacted has made it a phobia. So like now grown man sees a grasshopper and it's almost like just paralyzed. But it's not like the grasshopper or anything like that, it's just everyone's reaction.
I think that's actually interesting that you bring that up, because I feel like that's um a reason that maybe we, or I, if I'm speaking for myself, I'm not necessarily like afraid of those kind of factors, because mom's reaction was never, you fall, let me run there and grab you and make sure you feel whatever and like wipe you down or whatever. It was just almost like, okay, so you fell, oh, it's okay, and we move on with our lives. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like it's not like a big deal, or like that grasshopper moment, or like I know a lot of people who like parents instill like fears of dogs because when they were younger they were attacked by a dog or whatever it is. So now even if they have children, they're like pulling their children away from dogs and being like, don't go next to it or whatever it is, it's going to bite you. You know what I mean? Those little things, I guess, um affect how we view it
I feel like
growing up.
also from how we answered the first questions, you can tell what our fears are based on how we learned them, like what we learned from them. Because I feel like the money thing, we were both like, what's the plan? Why is the when it was travel? We're like, go off, no, no. No. But I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
based on how our experiences are. Travel is never a thing that you need to be like, oh my God, will you be safe? Have you checked? Because we do research and everything. Like you'll do so much. Chico is traveling alone all the time. And there's never a time where I'm just like, she'll be kidnapped. It's like, oh my God, where are
Mm.
you going? What time is your flight? This is so exciting. Make sure like
Yeah.
12, my room. It's that, like, that is the feeling we have. But when it comes to like a business or alone, like the fear I have over alone, I feel is
Mm.
taught. You know what I mean? So there are people in the
Yeah.
world who are probably like thriving on loans and knowing they can pay them back. Me, let me tell you,
Yeah.
taking money that is mine and I feel like I'm taking a loan, I'm normally like, how will I pay it back? When will I pay it back? My life now revolves around paying this thing so that it's not hanging over my head. So I think it is for sure land, just from
Okay,
our
that's
answer.
interesting. I
Because we grew
also
up with
okay, go ahead,
with,
Shiko.
sorry, I was gonna say we grew up knowing that debt, like you don't, debt is not a thing you want to have to anyone else, like pay off your debt, you know?
Mm,
True. So initially, I also thought that it is something that you learn, and I still think it is. Fear is something that you learn. But I was also thinking about like, I think even as kids, when you're afraid of the dark, I don't know that anyone has taught you to be afraid of the dark. It's just like a fear of the unknown. That's where I was like, there could be some elements of the thing where it might be hardwired in that evolutionary perspective that these guys were talking about, because
you're right.
how does a child know to be afraid of the dark?
Yeah.
um
Actually, you're right because there's some places I feel like so kids who are born in Ukambani, I don't know how I had this conversation with someone recently. They know a certain thing about like when they're walking. I don't know how to explain it, but because there are snakes in that area, there's a certain way that the behavior of the children, even when they're young and playing, is different, even though it's not taught. So I feel like there's a bit of DNA ish, like how antelopes know to lie down when they're really small, and then now at a certain point know to run when it's lions. I feel like it's the same thing. I feel like humans have the same thing depending on, but if you're in extreme places, if it's we are going to be attacked by a polar bear if you scream, the babies cry like this.
yeah, anyway, so now that
Science.
we have said that, yeah, no, please don't say science. Gadani, we have not proven anything that you have said. Actually, we are not scientists. This should be the disclaimer. Not Gadani saying science. What?
Oh my gosh.
Lies. I want to ask now more specifically, when you think about some of your fears, where did you learn that from? I mean, we've talked a little bit about the fear of death, like alone, and that coming from the folks. But what are some other fears you have, and maybe where Where do you think where do you think you learnt them from?
For me, it's always a fear when it comes to people, not necessarily like objects or things like that. Like I don't necessarily fear getting into a car accident because or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's some people who have that fear of like driving at certain times of night or whatever it is. Like I don't necessarily have those like fears. My fears are always in terms of um trust. Can you have a fear of trusting people?
Mm-hmm. I think
I
that's
feel like
valid.
that's
Yes,
something
because people.
because I've always been taught, I feel like to a fault, to like question people and like always be watchful to the point where I feel like it's paralyzing almost.
Mm.
Mm,
Um you're always looking at people like, okay, what are you trying to do? Why did you say that? What did you mean?
yeah.
What are you trying to get at? Okay, so you're trying to be my friend, that's okay, but like this relationship will probably last like 3 weeks and then we'll be done, so I'm not going to invest myself too much because I know this relationship doesn't feel like it would go anywhere.
Yeah.
Even, and I'm just talking like with friends, with random people, I don't know,
Mm,
like
it's valid.
it's kind of crippling, I feel. That kind of fear that I have of opening myself up. And I think to answer the second part of your question, Yam, I feel like it came from the amount of time that I spent alone growing up.
Mm,
Um, it was, I mean, people come and go, you know? So
mm,
w- I fear letting people in because they're just going to leave.
yeah.
Mm.
Makes
Well, that
sense.
was dark. Gavani?
I was going to say I feel the exact same way on people, but more I realized on relationships because I'm just like, there's no point in me over investing in emotion if it's not going to last. So I'm that way. I have a fear of permanence in relationships. But the one I
Oh.
remember for sure is I have a fear of starting things. And I remember distinctly there's a time when I was really young, I wanted to do a concert, right? So I did out a list of people who I wanted to be a part of it. I involved Nyam. We did a list of songs. We had like dance moves and everything for all the songs. Like I was ready to do this thing. And so I went fully like I had done all the work. You know what I mean? These are the songs. This is where it can happen. This is what, because in my head, I was like, it's foolproof. I remember presenting it to the parents and they were just like, haha, that's cute. And the only reason I wanted them to participate is just like, I need you to holler at these people's parents and ask them if they can participate. You know, it's not like I didn't want you to do anything. I don't need your money. You know, it's not like I need you to invest in the idea. And it was dismissed so fast that now I feel like when I have an idea, I overthink it because it's that thing of even when I thought I had everything right, it was so easy to be like, that's nonsense and move on. And it's not like come back to me in after you've thought through this or anything like that. It's just, it's a no. So I feel like a lot of times because I'm very creative and I have a lot of those ideas, I stop myself from doing a lot of things because I'm just like, in your head, it's right and you have it all right, but it's a no, you know. That's my fear. My fear is just like, and it makes me so sad because I feel like I'll be afraid. It frustrates me that fear stops me from doing some things because I know, you know, when you know you're great, like you can taste the greatness. Ooh, like that. I've just shown
Yeah.
at the air. But like I feel like it's almost like Shiko was saying, paralyzing. It's just like,
Yeah.
and then I won't even share the ideas because I'm like, if you crash it, then you've crashed me. So I just stay in my bubble with floating ideas.
Yeah.
I think another way, another fear as Gadani was speaking that I thought of was like the fear of being misunderstood as well. When it comes to people, I want to say for the most part I have good intentions, but not having that control over um, other people's narratives of how you said what you said is interpreted is something that's really
It's scary.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Even though we
And
put ourselves out here every week. is still
True.
something scary
And Yam, for you?
about.
True.
Sorry,
First, I was
Michelle.
gonna say, based on what Chico said, Stephen Covey says this thing where we judge ourselves by our intentions, but we judge other people by their actions. So in that way, like you might be coming through to it like with the best intentions, and the actions that you put out, maybe someone reads them a different way. So that's like a really valid fear. So first, may I have like physiological fears. First of heights. And then also I feel like it's an irrational one, but of crocodiles in swimming pools.
I have that
Um
also. I get it.
and then and that one I think I watched like
A
it was
movie.
one of those 90s soaps, like maybe Knots Landing or something. Like the guy wanted to threaten someone and they put a crocodile in their swimming pool, and this person used to swim every morning, and this one day they went to swim and
Got
the
eaten by a
crocodile
crocodile.
attacked them. So it's like an it's weird, but like literally if I can't see the bottom of a pool, I'm unable to swim in it because I just imagine there's a crocodile in it. It doesn't make sense, but that's what fear is, I guess.
It
Also
makes sense if you're in Florida.
also, yeah. If you're in Gator State,
Gera, Gera Nation.
Gator Nation. So another one I have is bridges, especially bridges in general, but bridges over water really freak me out. And I'm a swimmer, like I can swim.
Like a bridge over
Bridge
troubled
Over troubled
water.
waters.
Yeah,
I
so
like how all
bridges
of us
over
said
water.
Wora.
That's what it is. What do you mean? So yeah, I don't understand it, but I just feel like palpitations anytime I'm on a bridge. Even worse when I have to walk. Maybe it's the heights combined with water. I don't understand it, but it feels irrational because I can swim. You know what I mean? Like if anything happened and
roller
I fell into
coasters.
the water, the roller coaster is maybe just because of heights. But I also just don't like
Mm.
the speed and all. Like that one I don't think is a fear necessarily. I feel like I could do it, but
It's a
it's
dislike.
from it's from coming from above, coming down. So those are my physiological, I guess, like fear, like what I feel are real fears, but based on like body reaction. But one of the fears that I had, and I feel like it was when we were younger, I had a fear of God. Like I feel like religion and church really not in the way we are supposed to fear him. You
Yeah.
guys are
I was
so
like, I'm hearing all the
terrible.
people saying amen, and I'm like, that's not she's about to bust that bubble.
No, no, no. I mean, there's the healthy fear of God that we should
Please.
all have, amen, or whatever. No, no, no. But I just feel like the way maybe as I was coming up, the way God was taught was just like God of judgment, God
Yeah.
of fire, God of spitting you out, God of sending you to hell, like
Opening the earth.
um
What?
yeah, opening the earth and swallowing you, which are very much still the God that I know. But I just feel like there was a heavy reliance in terms of learnt fear from learning in the church. There was another play called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames.
Hell's Flames. Ooh,
If you did
trauma.
not have an altar call, if you did not say yes to Jesus at the altar call after that, Nini, for sure. Anyway,
The
so
whole the whole church, and you remember the way they used to make the church literally would be shaking. They would have all the not
I,
obviously the building is not shaking, but it was very dramatic how they made this
yeah,
play if someone is going to hell.
it's yeah, like you're just moved
And
and
it's even
and
also the movies of being left behind.
and also left behind.
The books were coming
The
out.
books were coming
Yeah.
out. We had a house help
She'll
when we
just
were
come
younger
home
who
and
like
find no one.
her main, like her, I think her Bible doctrine or her doctrine revolved around the rapture. Literally, she used to Anyway, I don't
I
even want
know.
to digress, but remember, there's a time I was sure that I had been left behind. It was such a genuine fear of mine that God will come back and I will not go. And
It's
He
because she
hates
used to tell
me.
us in every family there was a Cain and someone has to stay behind.
Anyway, that's a different story.
Actually,
Look, think about
I
what your
think
house helps are
honestly,
telling your babies. Guy,
no, I swear. Now that you're talking about this fear of God, I see it
Oh, yeah.
100% because today, if I come into the house and I get up or something and I turn around and Christian is not there or whatever, immediate thought, rapture. I
you
don't
were
know
caught
why.
up. What?
Hundred
I'm
percent,
laughing, but I
100%,
understand.
please.
This trauma is so bad.
Let me tell you,
Or like even
it's
if
a
you're in like a
genuine
mall,
fear.
or like, yeah, like if you're like in like a Ross or something like that, and there was a time where I came out of the bathroom and I turned and I didn't see anyone. I was like, rapture.
Wait,
Be left
I was
behind.
just like,
Rapture.
You hear the
I
trumpet.
Yeah,
you missed the trumpet for sure. Your
for
ears were
sure.
blocked. Next, it's like mark of the
Yeah.
beast. It's over. So I feel like it's only in
And she used to
growing
tell us hell
and
is a
And
swimming
the
pool. For me,
plagues.
that's what I was told. Hell is like a giant swimming pool, and you're just put there. And if God tells you you didn't, whatever, you're just put in a swimming pool of flames, and you'll just burn forever.
We were really
imagine.
traumatized. Wait. I don't
So
know why I've laughed
Wait.
so much. It's so
I
funny.
think in the beginning of my relationship with God, I was very fear driven. Yeah. And I think it's in coming to my own knowledge of Christ, knowledge of the Bible, and just maturing as a Christian, that I'm like, there's the other side of grace that is not being taught in churches. And maybe it's because, I mean, there's so many other factors we can think about, like, it came with colonialism. It was a form of control. So they needed to control people's behavior. So they relied more on
Talk on it.
there's so many things
Speak
that
on it.
you can say, but I'm like, it's in knowing him for myself to be like, oh, okay. It's not that I will do whatever I want now, but I also understand him not to be someone that because a fearful God, you don't want to have a relationship with him because literally all he wants to do is
Mm,
punish you. Think about it like a
mm-hmm.
parent. Your disciplinarian parent is the parent that you don't talk to nowadays, or like you just
Yeah.
But it
catch
also
up with
explains
them
why
and be
so many
like,
people leave the church, though, because not everyone has the experience of learning God or the
We
church for
digress.
themselves. Yeah, we always digress. Anyway,
so anyway, for me, a fear of God is something that I've worked on deliberately. To still understand him as a God of judgment, but a God of grace. And that I learned from what in the coming up. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you think like social media and technology has changed the way we also experience or perceive fear? Like when you think about some of the fears that you've explained, fear of trusting, fear of being misunderstood, fear of starting
It
something new.
definitely, it definitely doesn't help the fear of trusting people, because every other day you're seeing all these social media people. Oh, it was all a lie. Lizzo is actually not a nice person.
Yeah.
This and that and
don't put
that.
that
You
out
know what
there,
I mean?
please. I've rejected that.
Gathani, you just have to admit it.
Why
It's
did
There's
all
too
the other
much
dancers
evidence.
come and Nini her
There's
during?
It's
Guys,
Guys,
PR.
it's another digression. Let us
But
stay focused.
the whole point is, what was I saying?
that
Mistrust.
influencers are lying. Yeah, like there's a lot of lies on
Influencers are
social media.
liars. And
Wow.
it's also helped me realize that it's made me more confident when it comes to business, because it almost seems like anyone can do it. And when I see people doing it, I am just kind of like, oh, if she can do it, then why can't I? um it's also made it easier to think you can succeed in business for me, because everyone's posting out their tips for free. Like, you can literally have a whole masterclass on how to do any business you want to just with research for free that people are putting out on the internet. You know what I mean? So in that way, it's eliminated the fear of that entrepreneurial um, dream or goal, given me more stress from all the influencer liars and more fear from people, because you don't it's harder to tell who's genuine and what's real. But it also gives me a lot of anxiety, which can be linked to fear, you know, wanting something or feeling like you're not. For me, it always comes across as fear, as I'm not doing enough.
Mm,
Like, how the hell are people doing all this and making all this money and still have hours in the day to
yeah,
breathe? You know what I
I
mean?
know.
So that's kind of like the fear and anxiety that social media has given me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, like one of the other fears in terms of the relationship stuff was also being misunderstood. And I think uh, that comes from fear of people judging you a certain way or viewing you in a way that you're not putting yourself out there. So I think for me, it's something I've grown through. I mean, we talk about even just like my own profile being public versus private. Um, I had to really just think to myself, like, is it because I'm afraid of people judging me or misunderstanding what I meant by this? But I found that when I don't think about it is when I'm actually most authentic. But I still put that question there, and I don't think I would have had that question in a day to day interaction if it wasn't on like social media or being put on the internet. I mean, even with the podcast, you already know I'm usually like, oh my gosh, did I say too much? Or, have I exposed
Mm.
Yeah.
or have we over disclosed, that point of view? And I think that's, I mean, because tech means that we're just more available to more people, it kind of pushes on that fear of people will not understand or people will judge. So for me, in that way, it has heightened it, but I feel like there's work to, I mean, I'm doing the work already, but just to be like, okay, yeah, so what if they know, before it was
So
just your
what?
estate that knew that you're crazy, now on social media. And even us, as we put on the podcast, like everyone is just like, that chick is a psycho. Yeah.
That's wild.
Gadani,
Yeah.
what about you?
I had the same fear. I feel like when it was starting, there's this thing where I remember I really wanted to become the liar that Chico speaks about. There's a time when I really wanted to be an influencer. And what stopped me was not even the judgment. I didn't care about the judgment. I was more worried about the hate, because I feel like people behind keyboards are fucking bitches. Like they're so
But
mean.
that's judgment, Kadani.
It's
Yeah.
true. But you
It's
see, now for
yeah.
me, what ended up happening is I just got to a place where I was like, even though I know it'll mess how I want to grow. So, because social media has made it seem like in order for you to grow, you need to put yourself out there to a certain extent and just take whatever it is that people bring. I've just become that babe who, like, for example, my comments, you have to be following me first. So, in order for you to hate on me, you must have really, like, tried because you followed me first. I'm not giving you the space for this, okay? If you have decided to hate, I'll be the person who takes a screenshot and is like, do you see the picture and the name? These are your people. Because I feel like we would call you out on any other platform. Why don't we do that on social media? And so for me, I feel like in making the decision to protect myself, the fear has almost reduced because I was like, it's too much work trying to give someone else control over how it is I do this thing. And it's such a big part of who I am and what I want to do, and so much of my testing. Like there's just so much fun in the space. I'm like, I don't care what some stranger in the middle of God knows where is doing. I'll never meet you on the street. And
Without a picture.
correct. And I'm
Mm.
like, if I don't care about the people who I meet in the street will tell me I hate you, and I'd be like, and you're affecting me how? Okay. Why would I care about this stranger on the thing? So I think that's it changed my attitude in that way. The fear I have for social media now is if I have offsprings, we have established I don't want them. But if I did, when you're watching those things of pedophiles, let me tell you, darkness on
Mm.
TikTok. But there's a babe who has this thing where they like take pictures, AI generate, and it's like a social worker somewhere in the middle
You
of
guys need to watch
nowhere
that show. I'm telling you,
who is now hitting on a 9-year old, and you're just like, this person has such access, and
wild.
they make the world. You see, the thing is, they've made the world so ugly also. Because I'm like, if this person exists on the internet, they exist in my society. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not just a thing of, it's a thing I can, it's not like watching CSI where I can pretend it's fake. This is a real person, which means there are people like that in my society, which means what? Like, the world is so ugly, and it makes it so much more scary also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think you've answered some of it now, like Gadoni with your social media, talking about like only people who can comment are people who follow you. So, how do you deal with fear currently, based on the fears that you have, that you know that you've identified? How are you dealing with those?
A lot of prayer.
Hallelujah.
Because we have learned Jesus is not a scary monster. Praise the Lord. Anyway, but like I feel like a lot of introspection, because there are steps. I've decided this is what I do. I don't have to take big steps to get out of fear. I feel like at some point I felt like I had to do like the giant thing in order to prove I'm not afraid anymore. So like for me, it's things like starting a social media page for what would be like my like something I want to do, like I want to educate people in podcasting. So it's like start a social media page and start doing that. It's something like figuring out what I'd need to register a company so that when the time comes for it to happen, it's small things that I think it's my therapist who told me sometimes when you get in your head, it feels intangible. So in that mess of the tangly mess, find something that's tangible. That moment of what is it I can do now that makes it, like takes out a string. If you think of a ball of yarn that's messy, what is something I can do now that just takes out like one of the tangles? And the ball of yarn is okay. Like the fear is not the problem. It's just, okay, what is happening? What can I do to take out of it? And I think that's been my approach is block people who don't follow me from putting comments. It won't stop the hate. They'll come to my DMs, but I'll block them, but that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small steps.
Okay. And you,
I am
Shiko?
struggling with finding steps towards doing that stuff. I try and put myself out there with like different activities and stuff. Um, so, for instance, talking to someone different at the gym, working out with a different partner, starting up a conversation like that, or commenting on people's stories and starting a conversation that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's kind of making me more, I don't know, it's making me more active as a human in terms
Yeah.
of trying to pursue relationships, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll help in terms of like keeping those people close, you know what I mean? Because I think I'm very guarded with who I let in and at what extent. um so I don't know if I'm working on it. When it comes to like business and fears that I things that I want to pursue or stuff like that, fears when it comes to that, I feel like I've always done things with people and led
Mm-hmm.
things with people um as the leader, you know what I mean? But like had ideas and I'm like, oh, let's put this group together and get this thing done. um I think the fear of doing things by myself and standing on my own is always something. Like I'm independent to, as we've already discovered, very
Yeah.
independent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but at the same time allowing this business or business in general to be independent as well and pursue things on my own. Scary, but I guess I don't know.
Okay.
I guess so.
I read something from this same book, You Are a Badass, about what she says. But let me tell you, for me, in terms of my fear, um, I'm just trying to be more myself. Appear however I appear. So I'm an introvert. Before I would feel pressure to make people okay, and struggle. But now I'm like, if I need a beat, I need a beat. I'll go and sit in the car, just take a moment and come back, even though I am also doing like more social things. So just being less afraid to approach people or let them see who I am in person, and whatever judgments they make, that's on them. I think the podcast has also helped with that. So in that sense, it's also a reaction. It's something that I have learned through experience, that even if people judge, I mean, like, what's the worst? So I usually have like high moments of forget the masses, actually, even if they say, see, they'll say, and they, I mean, whatever. So like, especially like with my divorce, I was that way. So I don't care about if people talk about my relationship status, but for some reason, in terms of either like my personality or my work, then I take that more sensitively. So it's working on that through being more myself, being unapologetically myself, and then also putting myself in situations where, because when I conquer it, I realize that I feel like it reduces the fear level. So like when I think about like the fear of heights, I've been doing like a few more hikes. So like now having to go down like to the waterfall, like my legs are shaking the whole time. But when I'm finally there and I look at the pictures and I'm looking at this gloriousness, I'm just like, oh my God, I did that, you know.
Yeah.
Wow,
Um,
it's heights like that.
there's one where it's like you're going down, like, yeah, it's intense. Like, even I remember when I think about like the one time I did Longonaut and the crater, the feeling I feel is fear and the shaking that I will fall into the crater. Yeah. Even though the views were amazing and all of that. So they've been small things that I've been able to do where I'm like, oh, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? This is like a blown up wall that I will scale, but there is something to catch me below. So just go through the fear. Like, even remember when we did the trampoline park, and scaling the
Yeah.
wall was so hard. But then when I got to the top, I was like, great. Then now I have to be convinced to come down because that fear kicks in again, even though I've already done the thing. So it's the conquering of the fear that helps me now come down.
You
Yeah.
have told me much also. I've never done Longonot. Anyway,
Me
yeah.
too. We have to do it, Gadoni. Now it's going to be a thing.
Let's do it a thing.
It's
We'll
gonna
make
be
it
a
a thing.
thing.
I feel like we're like the only Kenyans who've never hiked Longonot for real.
If you
I've had
haven't, you
the
can
gas.
join.
Yeah, tell us
Join the
if
club.
you want
Join
to
Let's
join
in.
us. We
do.
can see if we can do a hike. And
Do
okay,
a
Kiasi
December.
hike.
do an Okekiasi hike.
We do an okay
Um,
Kiasi hike.
so as I close, I wanted to talk about now like what Jen Sincero suggests that you can do in terms of tackling fear. And her point of view was that you should flip it, so that you're looking at it from a different perspective. So for example, and I think she calls it a circuit sandwich. So for example, maybe you might say, I want to write a book, but I can't get myself to sit down to do it. Yeah. And then the question is, why not? Because you're scared that if you do, it will be terrible. Yeah. So what happens if it's terrible? If it's terrible, you look stupid, then what? People will make fun of you. And if people make fun of you, what happens? I'll feel ashamed, say, for example. So then she's saying, now you're not writing your book in order to protect yourself from feeling stupid and ashamed. That's now
Shame.
the fear
Mm.
statement. But now she says you should flip it and say, how stupid and ashamed will you feel if you don't write your book? Yeah. And so for you, it will be like, I'll be very ashamed because it's a brilliant idea. You know, like what Gadoni was talking about, like
Yeah.
she had the idea, it's a big dream of mine. Yeah. And so when you ask yourself, how do you feel about not conquering or going after your dreams? It still comes back to like fear and ashamed
Yeah.
and, guilty. So then it's like, wouldn't you rather be guilty and ashamed having done the
Having done
thing,
it.
yeah, than having
Yeah.
not done it, which I thought was so interesting. So I was like, for me now, also thinking about like maybe the fear of being misunderstood or being judged, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? It's like people will talk about me. Okay, so and then if they talk about me, what does that mean? Like,
It's funny you
what's
bring
the
this up
worst?
because like I was having this conversation with a friend that I had dinner with earlier this week or last week, and we were talking about having an accountability group, maybe for like our friends or stuff like that, where we have all these goals and everything as women that we want to do or whatever it is, and there's that thing, that fear, that whatever it is that's holding you back. What if you had like a group of friends that could keep you accountable, like maybe monthly meetups or weekly meetups or whatever it is,
Kiama.
that will keep you accountable? Honestly, that's kind of what it is. Kiamas, they would come together and do investments, but I feel like we've kind of lost that community of meeting up with a group of people like every so often. It's also a great way to build relationships. Actually, that's the perfect comparison if
And
you
people you can grow
really
with.
say
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anything.
True.
Exactly, yeah. um
For me, I
Yeah,
think the thing
yeah,
that has
so
helped me the most in this, in fighting my fear of worrying about what people think, is two things. I've been watching a lot of old people, and all of them are just like, it doesn't matter what people think. Like, it really doesn't matter what they think. It's not such a big deal. Just do the thing. And the other thing is, I saw a statement somewhere, I can't remember where they were just like, the amount of time you're spending worrying about what other people think about you is the amount of time the person is spending worrying about everyone else thinking about them. So if you free yourself from worrying about what other people are doing, let them worry about what you're thinking. Because, in the same way, I'd be like, oh my God, did Shiko like my outfit? And no, Shiko is also like, oh my God, did Gadoni, like, how did she take what I said? Like, that's what it is all of you are doing in your head. So just free yourself, because
hmm.
honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, and it sounds crazy, and it's been the hardest thing for me to grasp, because once it's been innately a part of who you are for so long, saying it doesn't matter doesn't seem true. It seems a lot bigger. But sometimes I've just tested it. I'm like now at blankets, I slept on the blanket because I was tired, and I was like, let me just sleep and see what happens. And nothing happened, because when my friends were done dancing, they came and they woke me up and went to the car. But it's that thing of, you were the babe who slept
mm,
at blankets. Yes. Why? I was sleepy. And
he was
so
Yeah,
I
tired.
slept, and it's just a thing
yeah,
of, oh, I guess, yeah. Because I'm just like, you think what you want about me and why I'm asleep is not my business. Me, I know I was tired, so I'm going to put my head on the blanket and sleep, because I don't be the person who stops people from having fun. So if you want to think, oh my God, go off with your story. Me, I was tired and I slept and I woke up, and here I
Wow.
am
That's
recording the
actually like
podcast.
a really big thing actually. It sounds small,
Yeah.
like, but just sleeping on a blanket and
Yeah.
getting past like what other people would think, because especially at a thing like that, you're like,
It's like,
oh,
she's
people will
drunk.
think she's
She's
drunk,
to do what I'm
she
like, it's
can't
fine.
handle her liquor, where are
Yeah.
her friends, all this stuff, like,
Correct. And me, I'm just
yeah.
like, I'm sleepy, so I'm sleeping. And I put my bag nicely behind my head and I slept. With a phone, there's a
Yeah.
picture on my Instagram, even. This is how crazy it was. I put a picture on Instagram. I put my phone on my chest and I slept. I was like, when you guys are done, you wake me up, we go home. Godspeed.
true.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna end this with a quote that I read that says, "We tiptoe through life, hoping to safely make it to death." Um, when you think about it that way,
Ooh.
I mean,
Mm.
there's really no
Oh,
reason
my
to fear.
God. I feel like I should go and do a bungee jump. Wow.
Wow.
Basically,
Damn.
instead of tiptoeing safely to death,
It's
Just live
time
your
Live
to
your
life.
life.
try
Live your life.
defying
Hey,
gravity. Damn, that thing
Yeah.
has really stung my spirit. I need
it
a
really
moment.
has.
I feel
And
like
if
I
it's
just
stung
want
your
to cry.
spirits too, we would love to know too. Gathani, where can they find us?
You can find us everywhere on all social media profiles at OK Kiasi. That's OKAYKIASI. Gang, if you don't like social media, we get it. It's scary. We just talked about it. But we have an email address, you know? So you just write to us, okkiasi@gmail.com, and we will answer you, okay? I told you, two of our people are single.
100%.
Slide into our emails.
Hey,
This
Gathani.
one.
Anyway, if you've gotten this far, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Shiko.
I'm Yam.
And I'm Gadoni.
This has been Okay Kiasi. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Boy.
Ah.
I don't wanna be there. Watch me, watch you see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch me, watch you see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch me see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch me, watch you see that.